This Salisbury steak smothered in mushroom and onion gravy with mashed potatoes are a beautiful addition to your family dinner menu. And if you want to know how I prepared this, please keep watching. Hey everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. Today my taste buds have wandered all the way to the US and we're making Salisbury steak, or sometimes they're called hamburger steak, and I'll explain the difference and how you can make any one of them to suit the ingredients that you have. Also, look out for the mashed potato recipe that is going to be on my Instagram, so you would have to go over to my Instagram to see the recipe for that. Very easy and delicious. So these are the ingredients for our steak, our hamburger steak or Salisbury steak. So for my seasonings, I have salt, white pepper, a bouillon mix, paprika, bouillon cubes, and black pepper. So these are the seasonings I'm going to be using. Then I have my ginger garlic mix. Then I have ketchup and Worcestershire sauce. And then we have breadcrumbs. You can buy breadcrumbs from the bakery aisle of any supermarket, but I made mine by just putting 2 slices of bread in microwave until they dried out, and then I blended it in my food processor. But you can also put that in a Ziploc bag and just hit it with a rolling pin until you get crumbs. So I'm just adding all the ingredients into the ground beef, and I'm going to leave the ingredient measurements in the description so that you have something to work with. So like I said, we're just adding everything in there and we're going to be mixing everything up. So let me tell you the difference between Salisbury steak and hamburger steak. So like a regular burger, how you make a burger, that's basically a burger steak. And the difference is, in a Salisbury steak you use all these fillers like breadcrumbs, like egg, like all the seasoning. But in a hamburger steak, all you need is salt and pepper. So if you noticed, I didn't mention egg. That was because I totally forgot, but now I remembered and I've come back to add my egg at this point. So make sure you beat your egg separately before you add it into this. Out of laziness, I just put it on top, as you can see, and I'm trying to beat it and then I incorporate it. So if you want to make this recipe and you don't have Worcestershire sauce, like most people do not, because it's not a typical ingredient in our Nigerian kitchen, you can definitely leave it out. Just make sure you add bouillon cube, salt, pepper, and just flavor the meat to your liking. So you can leave out anything that you don't have basically, and so you would have a hamburger steak instead of a Salisbury steak. All right, we're all about using what we have to get what we want. So at this point, if you are not subscribed to my channel, I don't know why, but I think you should. See that red button down below. Just hit that red button that says subscribe. Hit that button and join this family. All right, so here are the ingredients we're going to be using for our gravy. We're going to be using mushrooms, and I'm using these canned ones. You can use fresh ones if you have. Just chop them up, slice them up, and we have onions. We have our ketchup, Worcestershire sauce again, and then we need beef stock. That's what we're going to use as our gravy liquid. So here I have beef stock cubes, and I'm going to add about a cup of water, or a cup and a half, but just check in the description for my measurements. So I'm going to just leave that there for the beef stock cubes to dissolve, and that's going to be used for our gravy liquid. And then we have some butter. This is real butter. This is not margarine. It would give you a different taste if you use margarine. This makes it creamy and nice. And then we have flour to thicken our gravy. So those are the ingredients for the gravy. Now we're going to go back to our beef that has been sitting for about 30 minutes, just to make sure all the ingredients have married and just marinated into the meat. Now we're going to start shaping our steaks, and to do that I wet my hands so that the meat doesn't stick to my hands, and then I'm going to go ahead and start to shape them into like steak. You know how steaks look? You need to shape them into like a steak shape. You want this flat and kind of oval, but you can do whatever shape you prefer. Just make sure they're not round like a meatball. Make sure they're flat and about maybe half an inch thick. So yeah, that's what we are working with. That is the size I'm going to be using. They're not going to be exactly the same, but yeah, just something of that size is fine. So I'm going to be making about 7 steaks out of this, and then I'm using what's left to make just tiny mini meatballs for finger food for my son. Yes, he is 1+, so he's been feeding himself. And I have some recipes for babies here. I have a lot on my Instagram. I have a highlight called baby food ideas. You can follow me on Instagram, check out my baby food ideas highlight, and every now and then I post stuff that I feed my son and how we're just going along in this mommy life. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and fry our steaks. Now if you have a wider pan, that will be better for you, so you can do more at a time. But again, we are working with what we've got, so just let your steaks fry off for like 2 to 3 minutes on each side. They would stick, but that's fine. That's all flavor you're building underneath in the pan. So they're not going to be cooked through because they're going to go ahead and cook some more in the gravy, but you just want to give them some color, which is also flavor, by frying them off first like this. So I think I kind of got carried away and my steaks got a little bit browner than I wanted. You can see the pan looks like you have some burnt pieces, which I'm going to scrape off. And this is a typical kitchen. This is, real life. I'm no professional cook. I didn't go to any culinary school. So that's why I'm showing you here that life happens. Yes. So we're going to scrape all that burnt stuff off the pan, and then we're going to fry off the remaining steaks. Okay, yeah. So here you can see that I have some brown bits, I have some darker bits. So I'm trying to scrape off the darker bits because those are sort of burnt, because they may leave like a bitter taste. But those brown bits are flavor. Okay, don't take that off. That is flavor underneath in that pan. So we're going to go ahead and start to make our gravy in the same pan because we're trying to build flavor. So just put your onions and your mushrooms into the pan. Now if you don't have mushrooms, if you can't get mushrooms, you can definitely leave that out. Just use onions. So we're going to cook that until it's brown. I think I added some salt, just a little bit, because your steaks are already salted. Your gravy bouillon cube has salt, so you don't want to over salt things. I added some green chilies because I had it and I just wanted to have a little bit of spice in my gravy. You can leave that out, or you can use your regular habanero peppers. Just cut them up very tiny and just a little bit. This is not a spicy gravy, so don't change the flavor profile of what a Salisbury steak and the gravy is supposed to be. But I mean, if you do, it's your kitchen, it's your belly, it's your food. Anyways, so just cook the onions and the mushrooms until they're well browned and looking good. So you can see I changed my pan because all my steaks are not going to fit into that pan, and even though they do, it's going to overflow. The gravy would overflow. So I changed my pan to a bigger one, and then we're gonna continue cooking in here. So I'm gonna add my butter. Please check the description for all the measurements. I'm going to add my butter and just let that melt while the mushrooms and onions are just, cooking in there and just getting all that buttery, delicious flavor. And like I said, this is real butter. This is not margarine. I don't know what this would taste like if you use margarine, so I can't say. Just use butter. It will give you a really nice flavor, buttery flavor, delicious flavor, very creamy too. So we're gonna let that melt off, and then we add our flour. And the reason we're adding our flour at this point is because we want to cook off that raw flour taste. Sometimes when you bite into a dough that wasn't well baked, that raw flour taste you get, you don't want that in your gravy. So we want to cook off our flour in the butter and everything for a little bit, about 1 minute. Now our flour has cooked off. You can see that the mixture has sort of sucked up the flour, and then we're going to go ahead to add our stock that was initially mixed, our Worcestershire sauce, and our ketchup. And that's it for our gravy. Once you mix it up, just add in your steaks and let it just bubble in there for about 10 minutes. And just turn them around so that all the flavor gets into the steak. The flavor in the steak comes out of it and just flavors the gravy, and everything just basically becomes one big pot of deliciousness. If you could smell this, my goodness, it is so rich and beefy and delicious, like really good. This is a recipe you should definitely give a try. Very few ingredients, very few ingredients are needed, and like I said, you don't have to use the Worcestershire sauce and all I think that's one thing that most people won't really have. You can totally leave it out. Yeah. Have you liked my video? Have you? I'm sure at this point you're liking what you see. So if you haven't liked this video, please like the video. All right, like I said, if you want to see the recipe for this mashed potatoes, make sure you check out my Instagram. It's going to be there. I didn't use fresh potatoes, and I used something very easy that you can find anywhere, and I don't want to say much about it. Just check my Instagram, okay? Very delicious, very buttery, very smooth. So we just served that. Can you just feast your eyes on this deliciousness? So I just served that with some steamed green beans, and that's it. Delicious, packed with flavor. This is a nice departure from your regular menu. Just every now and then introduce something nice. If you were to buy this from a restaurant, you probably pay a lot more than you would for a serving in your house. And people always ask me if I make things like this all the time. I try to make something special every week or every other week, just a departure from our regular Nigerian menu, and I think you should too. Please, if you like this video, like it. If you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe and catch the recipe for the mashed potatoes in my Instagram. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.